Yo, 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 what is up, guys? I'm back with another reaction. We are going to be covering why are NBA players getting arrested for scamming. I'm not gonna lie, I did see some of the news earlier about players like Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, and other players getting like arrested. I know Malik Beasley was investigated earlier this calendar year, like around the summer. And then I also saw like Gilbert is getting taken in for questioning too. So yeah, we're about to get into exactly what is going on. But I definitely have seen um, some of these not random, but some of these events going on. So, and I'm wondering too, just how many other players and coaches are going to get ousted. So this should be very interesting.
What's popping off? I know all y'all that be involved in that, throwing money on sports are either ecstatic today or enraged with the money that you have lost or may have been losing. And it's no fault of your own because the FEDS, the FBI, they arrested, can you believe they arrested Chauncey Billups, part of that legendary championship squad on the Detroit Pistons? But FBI Director Cash Patel.
So this is what bro is doing instead of releasing those files, bro. This is what he's doing. Instead of making sure that they're conducting proper investigations for actual things that matter, bro. Like, and look at him too, bro. Look how smug he is, bro. Look how smug this guy is too, bro. Bum ass niggas, bro. They're not funny.
They investigated and just arrested a bunch of people involved with damn near what looks like a racket. I'm gonna play you guys the clip right now.
Individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchesi crime families.
This is crazy. I heard Chauncey Billups and I thought, what the hell? Now y'all know, like, listen,
Well, I think what's even crazier is the fact that they have literal mafia families involved in this. Like, what is this? Italy? I didn't even know. I'm not gonna. I didn't even know mafias were still even a thing. And for them to be connected to something as hype as the NBA, you definitely know they have their paws in other ventures as well. So that would make me curious, like because the NBA is obviously like one of the highest performing sports leagues in the world, right behind like certain big soccer leagues, behind the MLB, the NFL, that kind of stuff. So in other sports like tennis, fight sports, like what else are these mafia guys, getting their influence in? That's what I'd be curious to see.
NBA game I played, NBA Live '06. Y'all think I'm playing? I might just throw up the CD on my story or something like that. But that I remember that era. So I'm thinking Chauncey Billups.
I had a NBA Live '08. I think that was the one with Gilbert Arenas on the front, but that shit was live too.
Still in the NBA. Well, I'm going to give you guys some details on this, and we're going to go through some events and the specific game that they're accusing Terry Rozier of like messing up several years ago. So in this tweet by Joe Pompliano, he says the FBI is holding a press conference right now on the details around this morning's sports gambling bust. Here are some of the highlights. Because if you guys remember, a couple of months ago, Gilbert Arenas got arrested, and it was over some illegal gambling. But this is a very different scenario. What Gilbert Arenas got arrested for was like throwing some poker games at your crib. I think at his crib in Encino or something like that. This is very different, and this is far, 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 far worse. Because whatever Gilbert Arenas had going on, that's rich people stuff. This is people stealing from you honest sports bettors, right?
That's why I don't bet on study. That's why I don't bet, bro. If you're gonna listen, this is me. If you're gonna gamble your money away, at least do it on something that you have direct control over, right? Like if you wanna, I don't know, enter like a video game tournament or like a sports tournament, like your local um sports game or whatever. It's something that actually has you actively participating in it, right? Or like a talent show or something, like something that requires you to do something to win, because at least you have some kind of control over the outcome, right? As opposed to, a situation like this where you're just banking on players showing up or, other players not showing up, that kind of stuff. Like it's completely out of your hands. I don't know how people don't get anxiety from that shit, bro. It's actually crazy. So respect to them, I guess, but betting's not for me for that reason.
I do not approve of. I do not get involved in that whatsoever. But people stealing from you illegally too, because this is legal now. Like they legalized it across America and it didn't used to be a thing. I do think it is probably for the destruction of people's brains. Not why they legalized it, but I think that's the result of it. But it is what it is. Current and former NBA players and coaches Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, and Damon Jones have been arrested. This was an illegal gambling and sports rigging operation that spanned years across 11 states. In total, 30 individuals have been arrested, 13 mafia members. The case involves La Cosa Nostra, the Italian mafia. I didn't even know this still existed. I mean, people talk. We've seen more members or former members on Vlad TV than I know. Vlad's already making some phone calls of anybody associated with this trying to get some information, but the case is still ongoing, so he might wait until it's over. Charges include illegal gambling, wire fraud, and extortion. There are two separate indictments. This is very important. The first involves 6 defendants accused of participating in a sports corruption scheme that exploited insider information involving NBA players and teams. The defendants leveraged their connections to place prop bets based on confidential insider information, winning tens of thousands of dollars per bet. The second indictment involves 31 defendants charged with participating in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games. The FBI says they used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The two cases are separate, but there are 3 overlapping defendants, including former NBA player and coach Damon Jones. So these people, they already got bread in their career and they still want to steal. Like,
No, that is a good point, bro. Like NBA players make so much money, bro. It's like, how much more money do you need, my nigga? Like respectfully, how much more money do you need in your pockets? Like if we look up the NBA minimum salary, right? So according to AI, the minimum salary a player can make, at least according to the last season, was over $1 million. Minimum, like bare minimum if you are a bum who will never see playing time in life, right? So Terry Rozier was not a bum. Well, he is a bum now, but like he wasn't like a minimum level player. Granted, this Damon Jones guy, I don't know how what that guy was up to in his playing days or if he played or not. And obviously, Chauncey Billups, like the YouTuber said, was a former champion. So he's definitely not a bum either. So it's like to risk during all of this for like how much possible money could you be making off of rigging, gambling, and illegal betting? I mean, granted, like he said, this is rich people stuff. So they're probably putting aside like serious stupid cash because they have the money to do that. But like still, it's still crazy in my opinion.
come on, man. The FBI says that NBA player Terry Rozier told the defendants that he was going to leave a game early on March 23rd, 2023 with an injury. Keep in mind, this is very, very important. One of the defendants, Terry Rozier, is telling them that he's going to leave the game early with an injury. That type of information is not privy to the public that are betting. The defendants then placed more than $200,000 worth of wagers on the unders for his prop bets, with Rozier leaving the game after 9 minutes. Those bets paid out tens of thousands of dollars in profits, and the defendants and Rozier counted the money at his house. I want to go over this a little bit because if you look at what I did was I cross-referenced tweets based on that date, and you see a couple of different people that find this odd, people that are involved in this whole game. Like this one guy, Noah, said on March 23rd, he said, is there any reason why there are 0 Terry Rozier props on any books or DFS sites? Is he out tonight? Did I miss something? Very odd. And then some guy says, nah, dude, what is going on? And then someone says, I locked him earlier. I hope he's not injured. He says, usually the sites don't just pull a player off the board unless he's questionable or out. No report of either. So that's very odd, right? Another person also said, Terry Rozier's situation smells like ish, man. So weird. Just gets pulled forever on all books and then comes back with the 25 line with no news. What am I missing? And then people here, and this was back in January, it was also reported that he was being investigated. Federal prosecutors were investigating him.
Damn, so they really clocked this shit immediately, bro. And honestly, too, yeah, like given specifically the climate that we live in, how do you even expect to get away with this, bro? There's just way too many eyes on you. Like, this is not the 90s, bro. Everyone's going to notice right away the kind of shit you're trying to pull off.
Based on that game in 2023. And Tim Reynolds said, the Wall Street Journal reports that Terry Rozier's performance in its March 23rd, 2023 game with Charlotte is being probed by federal investigators. Rozier has not been accused of wrongdoing, we can confirm. Well, clearly he's been accused of wrongdoing now because there's charges. So that's another development here as well. So this game was very, very odd. Now, fans started posting clips of Terry Rozier playing terribly in another game. That was not the game that they were talking about on March 23rd. But I'm going to play you guys some clips from that.
Still going. Rozier, turn it over again.
No, arrest this man immediately. Arrest this man immediately. You're done. You're finished. That might be, bro. It's either way. Now let's actually let's look that back again, bro. What did bro just do? He doesn't even try to contest it. This one, Like, see, this one you could kind of buy as maybe being like he just legitimately lost it, but this one right here is actually this is just too on the nose, bro. Bro's not even trying to hide it anymore. Like that's that's disgusting, bro. Yo, he's actually a disgusting human being for that. I don't know why he thought he was gonna get away with this, bro.
And Rozier off the DHO. And he turned it over. Turn it up. Because you don't want to play your team, especially against Miami. I can tell you, hey, you don't like playing in Miami? Rozier with a rebound.
Going on here. The FBI says that former Raptors player Jonte Porter was threatened to participate in the sports gambling because of his gambling debts. Teams that were bet on during the sports gambling scheme include the Charlotte Hornets, Portland Trailblazers, LA Lakers, and the Toronto Raptors. The rigged poker games occurred in the Hamptons, Miami, Las Vegas, and Manhattan. The poker scheme targeted victims who were lured to participate in rigged poker games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes. These athletes included Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones. The FBI says that, so there's two. Now they're talking about the illegal poker ring that was going on. That's different from the sports fixing, even though there are overlapping people. The FBI says that the defendants utilized altered shuffling machines to read the cards in the deck and then relayed that information to an off-site operator. The off-site operator, known as the quarterback, then sent that information to someone at the table. The FBI also says that the defendants utilized other cheating technologies, including poker chip trays that read cards through hidden cameras, special contact lenses and glasses that could read marked cards, and X-ray poker tables that could read cards face down.
Nah, no way niggas are using spy technology for this shit, bro. This is insane. Like,
It seems like the mafia, even with new levels of technology, they decided to adapt with the technology. Said, yo, why are we catching bodies out here in the streets? Why are we doing all of this? Yo, get the tech in here and let's start finessing. And this is some crazy finesse. I respect it. The FBI says that the defendants robbed a victim. I guess, you still got to go back to the basics sometimes. At gunpoint to acquire a rigged shuffling machine. So they're even robbing people for these machines. The sports gambling investigation is called Operation Nothing But Net, while the poker investigation is called Operation Royal Flush. The FBI has been working on this investigation for 4 years, with victims losing at least $7 million. One specific victim lost at least $1.8 million, and the FBI reviewed thousands of hours of video evidence and executed more than 2 dozen search warrants. These are just accusations at this point. This is really scary.
yeah, so they've been doing this for 4 years. So that's going back to 2021. So there's no way, honestly, that Terry Rozier is the only NBA player that they're going to catch, because the game that they even had in question would have been after they already started the investigation, right? So, and even Chauncey Billups, I don't think he started his coaching career until 2 years ago, I want to say. So, I mean, granted, they could have still been doing the illegal games or whatever. Right? I could believe that. So I don't know if maybe they started out just investigating that, and then, right, like they maybe after he became a coach and the whole like Terry Rozier thing happened, they decided to just kind of like do like a splinter where they like look at that as well. In any respect, I think there's going to be more players that they're going to arrest. I don't think this is going to stop at just the 3 names that they have right now.
Man, because dog, Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, and we can even see people thinking it was fishy, like people that constantly sports bet. Like on that day, they were like, yo, this is odd. What's going on here? Terry Rozier's attorney responded on his behalf and said the following: we have represented Terry Rozier for over a year. A long time ago, we reached out to these prosecutors to tell them we should have an open line of communication. They characterized Terry as a subject, not a target, but at 6 a.m. this morning, they called to tell me FBI agents were trying to arrest him in a hotel. It's unfortunate that instead of allowing him to self-surrender, they opted for a photo op. They wanted the misplaced glory of embarrassing a professional athlete with a perp walk. That tells you a lot about the motivations in this case. They appear to be taking the word of spectacularly incredible sources rather than relying on actual evidence of wrongdoing. Terry was cleared by the NBA, and these prosecutors revived that non-case. Terry is not a gambler, but he is not afraid of a fight, and he looks forward to winning this fight. The U.S. attorney said, one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about the NBA athletes and teams. This is really scary, man, because it's like you're robbing from the little guy, because so many people are addicted to this. And I understand why. Some people may not be completely addicted. Some people may just be very involved, because
Listen, gambling addiction is real, but like I said, this is why you can't be getting into it in the first place. Because, listen, right, at the end of the day, the type of money that people stand to gain from this, there's no way they're leaving that to chance. There's just no way. Like, you're telling me that I'm one dice roll away from being up 200K, and you think I'm gonna have Lady Luck? I'm gonna wait for Lady Luck to be on my side to get that 200K. I'm getting that 200K regardless. If I gotta rig these dice, right? If I gotta rig this coin flip, whatever I gotta do, I'm getting that 200K. So, yeah, when you're trying to quote unquote gamble money like that, like there's just way too much stake involved to be doing things all willy nilly, bro.
when there's bread on the line, when there's some sort of risk based on a performance, it makes the game, the fight, anything that you may be watching, the sports, so much more enjoyable and just high stakes. Like it's exciting. Even though I don't participate in it, I understand it for sure. And to see these guys allegedly using their connection, like private knowledge, to make disgusting bags of bread on top of dude, this guy, Chauncey Billups, is an NBA coach and he had a lucrative NBA career. Terry Rozier, he's an NBA player. But also the thing that about like this underground, like betting and stuff like that, is how much of this is debts. So let's just theorize, complete theory over here, complete theory, not true, not saying this is true. But let's say Terry Rozier was like a gambling addict, right? And he's doing these underground gambling games that they accused Gilbert Arenas of hosting, things of that nature. And he's in huge debt. Well, how is he going to pay off the debt? Does he want to pay it off with actual money that he earns? Or can he just throw a game that doesn't even matter for his career so that they can make bread off of it? And a bunch of people can make bread off of it. And then he handles his debt. And if he doesn't handle his debt, like they're saying that the mafia is involved, so there's physical danger to him and his family, you end up in a situation where it's like, yo, you're stuck. And it starts off with gambling debt. I remember when they were.
I mean, that's definitely a possibility. I don't know. I just don't think. Actually, let me not give these guys that much credit, but it's like Terry Rozier is not a big name player. He's not, like I said, he's not a scrub. He's not a top echelon guy. So there's really no real incentive to out this guy in particular if it's about grabbing mega headlines, right? So I can definitely see what this guy's saying in regards to his theory. Like it's plausible, and especially if you're talking about mafias and how they will disappear you. Like it's not out of the. It's not an insane thing to conclusion to come up with.
We're trying to say that, or I don't know, they were saying that Bruno Mars owned like 50 million plus to the casino. So he got a residency just so that he could pay off what he owed, or he spent the residency money or something. I don't know if there's any validity to that, but this gambling thing, people, it really, really drags people in and keeps them there. But the accusation that they're making, I want the papers to come out, the ones that fully describe the full details of what was going on. It's kind of like they.
All right, yeah, this is going to be it for the video. But yeah, no, overall, definitely interesting video. I'll link it down below. I think, like you said, we gotta wait for more details to come out. Like if they've been building a case for over 4 years now, there's definitely a lot of details that they'll have to keep in mind. So I wonder if this started as like just kind of investigating like the rings or like the mafias or whatever they were up to, and then it kind of just, they saw, there's a connection with NBA players or NBA coaches, and then it kind of just evolved from there. Because if it wasn't that, then the question would be, how many more players are actually involved in this? How many more coaches or trainers or whatever are involved in this? And yeah, I'll definitely be interested in seeing what comes of this over the coming weeks. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Have a good day.